So, as someone who's been married for 43 years,
That's incredible.
um, I just can't imagine, the kind of trauma that, you would have to go through after a long-term relationship like that. Can you comment about, that sort of thing?
Sure, we'll use you for an example. And so just imagine knowing your as wife, correct, for 43 years. And you wake up tomorrow and you see something on her phone and you're blindsided. You feel completely blindsided. Like, what is this? And you find out that your wife was in a hotel room the night before with someone else when you thought she was at a work event. And, as you start to kind of dig through that a little bit, you realize that this has kind of been going on for some time. And that all of the times that you thought she was somewhere else, she wasn't where she told you she was. And then you start to dig into some of the credit card bills and you start to see charges that you don't recognize. And you're starting to see that there's money being spent on dinners that you didn't know about. Um, and you start to question and you say, well, this is really unlike her. This is really shocking to me. And you're just beside yourself because this isn't the person that you thought you married. This isn't the person you've been in a relationship with, and that they've been looking at you and telling you one thing and doing something completely different. And so, how do you think that might feel for someone who's been
It'd be
married for
pretty,
43 years?
it'd be, I couldn't even describe it. It'd be obviously emotionally, devastating. So how do you, if you're talking to somebody in that sort of situation, I mean, how do you help them? I mean, it seems like almost an unhelpable situation.
Well, we all can recover from anything, is my belief. We've got to certainly do the work and make a commitment towards recovering and making sure that we're not carrying this trauma into future relationships, right? And doing the healing work. But everything can be worked through. It does take a significant amount of time. And certainly the longer the betrayal goes on or the longer they've been in the relationship for, the more complex it can be. But it's really, recognizing that, people will sometimes make decisions and they're making decisions for what they need in that moment. And they're not necessarily thinking about the impact and how it's going to impact their family, or their spouse or their partners. They're just saying, hey, you know what? This person was giving me attention. It felt so good. I felt alive again. And, one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was in this, I was wrapped up in this long term affair. And I don't even know how I got here. And, recognizing that most often people aren't doing it intentionally to hurt their spouse or their partners, but that they get wrapped up into something that ultimately can be so devastating for their partners. And again, really doing some healing work that's centered on mind body, this mind body connection, healing the body. I really emphasize things like journaling and meditation and movement and connection with other people who can provide a significant support and not isolating. So there's lots of complexities, but really trying to make meaning of what the trauma meant for them and how they can work through it.